Let's say we have a chunk of Play-Doh in the shape of a circle. By virtue of the shape, we can draw a causal line back and infer that the shape of the mold from which it came is a circle. A Play-Doh machine generally comes with a lot of shapes of varying natures. Should we choose to use a different mold, we can infer that the resulting shape will differ and could result in something like a star. Doesn't guarantee it because there's a lot of external factors. A person messing with you could manipulate the machine or adjust the oozed tube and consequently end up with something other than the shape you started with. This is because there are extrinsic forces coming to bear on the situation. But now let's consider the case of God. God, at least in the Abrahamic tradition, is not posited as having a few possible natures. Rather, God is posited as a being that is the unchanging fullness of his properties, such that he is supremely simple, lacking any parts. This is because if God could change, it would suggest he could be otherwise, and thus be more or less perfect depending on the change. So unlike the Play-Doh machine, God does not have many natures to choose from. He has, rather, one immutable and unattenuated nature that is the definition of perfection. When God acts out of his eternity, there is nothing extrinsic by which he acts. His volition is entirely consistent with his being, not a part of it. And that being is immutable and changeless. He acts and renders unfailingly that which his being produces perfectly by his will. So we have a contingent universe sufficiently explained by God. But let's imagine another universe. What if instead of a circle, our universe was a star? Is that a universe God could create? If we trace the line of causation back, rather than a nature that comports with a circle, we would find a nature that comports with a star. But, as we've established God's nature as a circle, a nature with a star would not comport with God's, which is perfect and unchanging. And there is no extrinsic factor by which the universe we find could be a star, while God's mold were a circle. And this is what we term modal collapse, because in every possible world, God would be the same, and with no variables by which to do otherwise, and his being the sole derivations of all states, nothing would be otherwise. As such, not only can we say that a God is contingent on the universe being a circle, but we can say any event in the chain is necessary in order for God to be the ultimate explanation. In the case of Christianity, God's existence is equally contingent on Jesus becoming incarnate, and you listening to this video at this moment. There is no reason by which God could pump out a star. God himself is necessarily acting in accordance with this nature, with no ability by which he could do otherwise. For if God did otherwise, he would fail to have the nature he has and fail to constitute God. He won the lottery, not having the nature he has through some act of merit or effort, but simply happening to have it. Absent creation, to quote another YouTuber, he is the mean, median, and average of existence. The argument for a necessary being in a contingent universe is a vacuous distinction given the conception on offer, only rendering causal order and not logical necessity. In fact, it's every bit the case that we have a God contingent on a necessary universe, for if the universe were otherwise, God would fail to be the case.